Welcome to the Bahrain International Circuit. Any moment now, our drivers will take to the track and the Bahrain Grand Prix will begin. We go racing today around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are 3 main things to worry about there, Crofty. Positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Norris, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc and Pierre Gasly, Vettel, Tsunoda, Lance Stroll and Ocon, Raikkonen, Russell, Mick Schumacher and Antonio Giovinazzi, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Here we are in Bahrain, revving up to 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go, and Lewis Hamilton gets off the line very well. Max Verstappen gets off the line well as well. Here comes Hamilton, he goes very defensive on Valtteri Bottas as they come into turn 1. It's Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas coming into turn 1. Round the outside goes Valtteri Bottas. He takes the lead of the race into the next corner. Verstappen's down the inside. Sorry, that's not Verstappen, that's Sergio Perez. That's my bad. Sergio Perez takes the lead of the race. Incredible stuff for his first race at Red Bull. Now, further back, that's Lewis Hamilton trying to go around the outside of Sergio Perez. Doesn't quite work out. Daniel Ricciardo goes down the inside of Max Verstappen, and it's a P3 goes Daniel Ricciardo. Incredible job. Sebastian Vettel, who started in P11, is now up into P5 in front of Hamilton's teammate Valtteri Bottas is there. Norris makes contact with former teammate Carlos Sainz and loses a piece of his front wing, putting Fernando Alonso up into 8th place. Incredible stuff. On this opening lap, as Lance Stroll moves up into P11 there, not quite the start that his teammate had. As we scroll down the field, Charles Leclerc's at a horrendous start as he's dropped down to P14, with Giovinazzi down in the last. Very disappointing stuff from him as Hamilton seems to be struggling in this opening stint while the Red Bulls have that lead. As here we go, on board with Sebastian Vettel on his incredible start. Look at that getaway, perfectly timed on the lights, and then incredible start from Vettel as he gains a couple places off the start, then late braking into turn 1, round the outside of Carlos Sainz, round the outside of Ricciardo, not quite, but there he is already up into 6th place. As here comes Max Verstappen here. We're going to watch Verstappen. Here's Valtteri Bottas. Hamilton in second. Hamilton goes to the outside. There, Ricciardo sends it down the inside as Bottas locks up, and that gives Verstappen a chance as Bottas loses the back end. And that's what lets Vettel go up into 5th place. But now, back live with this race after that replay of the start, we can see just how it's going for Sergio Perez there. As you can see, Hamilton is catching a bit through this final sector. We saw in qualifying that was his best sector. He was very quick in that final sector. So what can Hamilton do? What can Bottas do in the 6th place? Can he come back from it? No, he's actually coming to the pits. So he must have gotten damaged. It doesn't look like he has any damage. So I don't know what exactly he's doing, but he is going to be pitting on this opening lap. And here's Stroll now on the back of Pierre Gasly. Here comes Yuki Tsunoda looking one way, going down the inside of Lance Stroll. Yuki Tsunoda in his first race in F1, and he's already on the back of his teammate. Here comes Stroll back around the outside, defending brilliantly from Lance Stroll in that beautiful new green Aston Martin. But Tsunoda's not quite done yet. He's going to have a look down the inside. He's still a bit too far back as Kimi Raikkonen up in P11 doing a great job. Here comes Charles Leclerc around the outside of Esteban Ocon. He's overtaking Latifi, and now he's overtaken Esteban Ocon. Sorry, not Latifi. He was already in front of Latifi, but a brilliant move on Esteban Ocon by Charles Leclerc to move himself up into 12th place. He's still 6 places behind his new teammate Carlos Sainz, who so far seems to be getting the better of him, of Leclerc. as he outqualified him, and on the start has done a better job at Ferrari. Made the right call with Carlos Sainz here. Looks like it's gone brilliantly. But Sergio Perez as well, these new drivers at their new teams are doing amazing, as Perez is leading, Ricciardo's in P3 and Carlos Sainz is in 6th with Vettel in 5th. Incredible stuff as Fernando Alonso on his comeback to Formula 1 is up in 7th place. A great start from him while his teammate is down in 13th. Only in front of really the back markers and Norris and Bottas, who had to pit because of their early race damage. As you can see, Hamilton struggling in the first couple sectors, especially in Sector 2. That Mercedes is not hooked up, but here in the final sector, it's very quick. It's quicker in the straight line, at least it seems that way. And in the high-speed corners, it is good. But in those medium and low-speed corners, Red Bull is at home, it seems, because even in preseason testing and in qualifying, Lewis and Valtteri were complaining about the back end of that Mercedes being very hard to control. And we'll see throughout this race if that's going to become an issue, because Hamilton has really caught Sergio Perez. He's only 3/10 behind him as we go down the field to see where Bottas and Norris are. But yeah, we go back to the top here. As you can see through that second sector, we can just see on the Delta, Hamilton is losing a lot of time to Sergio Perez. And there you can see the back of the car just sliding around. That was a very difficult corner in qualifying for Lewis and Valtteri. So we'll see, because they did get the front row lockout, so the Mercedes does seem like a quicker car, at least in qualifying. But we'll see, maybe that loose rear end might cause tire wear issues or whatnot, you know, who knows. Because, I mean, Lewis is usually pretty good at conserving his tires, but so is Sergio Perez. We'll have to watch and find out as Lewis takes a wider line through this long right-hander. As Verstappen is still stuck behind his former teammate at Red Bull, Daniel Ricciardo, who's done a brilliant job to put it up into 3rd place. As Vettel has also done a brilliant job in 5th. Sainz seems to be losing touch with Vettel, which is very surprising because he outqualified him. But that Ferrari's race pace is struggling, a bit like 2019 perhaps. But they have improved a lot over 2020, so they should be proud of that. At least Sainz is showing it. I don't know about Leclerc. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, though. He's got the DRS. He pulls to the outside of Sergio Perez. Here he comes around the outside. Sergio Perez late braking, but Hamilton, what is he going to set up the move? Here comes Max Verstappen around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. Goes Max Verstappen, squeezes Ricciardo onto the curb. Brilliant stuff, as Sergio Perez did a brilliant job defending from Lewis Hamilton. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo for a back for round 2 as Verstappen is moving very late on the brakes there, as Ricciardo's not going to be too happy with that. As you can see, that dirty air. That Mercedes does not like dirty air, as we saw many times back in 2020, especially with Bottas. It is a very hard car to control in dirty air, and it looks like he got a lot of understeer through there. But anyways, back into this race. Ricciardo was not able to re-overtake Verstappen. It's looking very unlikely that he will be able to this race, as he is losing a lot of time. And that battle between Ricciardo and Verstappen has allowed Vettel to really close up to Ricciardo. Could Vettel be on for 4th place in the Bahrain Grand Prix? That would be incredible, as Fernando Alonso is on the back of Sainz. Sainz is not a DRS, so that could be a very big thing for Alonso here. If he could get 6th place in his first race for Alpine, well, his first race since 2009, that would be absolutely brilliant. But here's Hamilton again. Look at how quick he is through this final sector, taking a bit more of a squarish line through that final corner. Now accelerating hard onto the straight. Looks like he's lost a bit of time because of dirty air, but it's not quite enough, because here he comes with DRS. Now they go flying down the straight. Here comes Hamilton. He looks to the outside, looks to the inside. Now they come into turn 1. Here he comes, late braking from Hamilton, late braking from Sergio Perez. Down the inside goes Lewis Hamilton into turn 1, and Lewis Hamilton retakes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. I mean, this opening race of the season, but here he has to go defensive, weaving around to try and get out of that slipstream, so that Perez cannot re-overtake him. But it's very interesting that Mercedes have retaken the lead. So we'll see if Red Bull can continue to challenge them, because we saw in 2020 they just weren't quite quick enough. But at the very end of the season, in Abu Dhabi, Verstappen did win. So we'll have to see throughout the season if Red Bull can really mount a championship challenge to Mercedes, or if that was all just some stuff we saw in preseason testing, a bit like 2019 when Ferrari looked like the quickest car, but in reality it was actually the Mercedes by quite some margin. But here is Giovinazzi still behind Nikita Mazepin. Pretty disappointing stuff from Giovinazzi in his first race for Alfa Romeo this season. as George Russell is behind his teammate Nicholas Latifi. Another somewhat disappointing result by George Russell. But here comes Sergio Perez. Look at that. Hamilton is sliding around quite a lot. He is struggling as Sergio Perez is right up behind him. Perez is going to have slipstream, and DRS as this battle between Perez and Hamilton is allowing Verstappen to catch up. Max Verstappen, who is down in 5th place at one point, or sorry, yeah, he was down in 4th at one point, which is where he started, could potentially be on for the win if these two battle hard. But now the battle is going to go into the pits here in lap 5. As Sergio Perez locks up a bit, coming to the pits, but it's no big deal. Here he comes into the pits. Is he close enough? Or can Red Bull overtake Mercedes in the pits? Doesn't look like it. Hamilton comes out of the pits, and yes, he does come out in front of Perez, and it looks like they've actually pulled maybe a couple tenths on Red Bull, which is quite surprising after Red Bull's strong pit stops throughout 2019 and 2020. But anyways, Max Verstappen currently has the lead of the race. Here comes George Russell around the outside of Nicholas Latifi. Can Russell make this work? Down the inside, he has to brake so he doesn't his teammate. Incredible battle between the two Williams drivers as Lewis Hamilton comes out in 14th place behind Antonio Giovinazzi, and look at that, he's also come out 1.3 seconds in front of Sergio Perez. Here comes Valtteri Bottas round the outside of Pierre Gasly, and Gasly was in the point, so it does look like Bottas will still get points this race, but of course he probably won't get onto that podium, and if he does, it'll be a very big challenge, as you can see again through these fast right and left corners. We can see Hamilton was really struggling in the dirty air, but there he goes down the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi. They go side by side through there. Hamilton doesn't quite get the exit he wants. They go side by side, coming into the triple left-hander. Giovinazzi goes back down the inside. George Russell has gone off into this corner, giving yellow flags, and Hamilton goes around the outside, but he's not going to be an illegal overtake because it was in yellow flags. Yes, it is, because he lets Giovinazzi back through, but in doing so, he's allowed Sergio Perez through, and Sergio Perez takes the provisional lead of the race as he goes down the inside of Giovinazzi. But now Hamilton is going to try and switch back him. He gets Giovinazzi, nearly makes contact with him. Now back around the outside of Giovinazzi. Brilliant little move. And he's on the back of Perez, but Perez has taken the provisional lead of this race, unless Max Verstappen can overcut these two as Hamilton loses the back end there. Incredible stuff from Perez. He played that really smart. He allowed Hamilton to get stuck in traffic, and he made that move brilliantly. Great stuff by Sergio Perez to go into P12, but is in reality would be P1, as now Perez is on the back of Mick Schumacher. Now they go down the straight. They're going to go 2 wide and potentially 3 wide. Here comes Verstappen out of the pits. Here comes Hamilton down the inside of Sergio Perez and Mick Schumacher. He can't quite pull it off on Perez, but he does do it on Mick Schumacher. Round the outside of Schumacher onto the curb. Brilliant stuff from Hamilton. But now he's going to come back on Perez, and he's a bit too far back. Here comes Max Verstappen. He's much closer to Hamilton and Perez than he was before. Round the outside of Schumacher. Schumacher is going to fight it down the inside. Verstappen is having absolutely none of it as he sends it right around the outside of sorry, that's Mazepin. I don't know. Wait, what happened to Schumacher? Anyways, that does not matter because here comes Hamilton, as you can see through this corner. He's sliding the rear of the car just a bit. That rear of that Mercedes looks very unstable compared to the Red Bull, but the front of the Mercedes looks a bit more planted than the Red Bull, so we'll have to see how that plays out throughout the season and throughout this race. But it's Red Bull who currently lead this race, and of course Hamilton doesn't have his teammate to help him, while the two Red Bulls can kind of mess around and with strategy and try and get each other higher up the field. Whereas Bottas is down in 13th place behind Carlos Sainz at the moment, and that's really going to make life very difficult for Hamilton. But he's dealt with even more difficult situations in the past, and he's still come out on top. Here he is right on the back of Sergio Perez. Perez is on the back of Nicholas Latifi here. Can he make a move down the inside? Latifi's going to squeeze him. Hamilton's going to go to the outside. Latifi's had some brilliant racecraft there to defend against Perez. It hasn't quite worked out, but here comes Hamilton. He's got a brilliant exit. Opens up the DRS. They're going to go side by side down the straight. So does Perez. Also has DRS from Latifi. So now they're going to go side by side. It's Mercedes versus Red Bull. Verstappen's coming up behind Hamilton. Hamilton goes down the inside of Sergio Perez. Late braking by Lewis Hamilton. It looks like he's pulled that one off. Back around the outside. Perez has to back off. Great stuff by Lewis Hamilton to retake the lead of the race, but here comes Max Verstappen down the inside of Sergio Perez. Here comes Verstappen, late braking by Sergio Perez, back around the outside. Can he make this work? No, it looks like he might have backed off to let his teammate pass, and that puts Verstappen up into 2nd place after a pretty horrendous start to this race, and a pretty poor qualifying after getting stuck in traffic, dropping him down to 4th. Meant he was never really in the fight for pole, as Bottas, who was in the fight for pole, overtakes Carlos Sainz to move himself up into 8th place. But it's still not quite good enough, as Alonso did actually overtake Sainz during the pit stop phase, so that's going to mean he's going to come out in 6th place once Kimi Räikkönen, who's extending this stint very long, once Kimi pits. But here comes Max Verstappen down the straight. Hamilton's going to go to the inside. It looks like Hamilton might have let him through there. Maybe he's playing the long game, going to get him back on the straight, but I don't know if I would really want to do that. Verstappen is very aggressive on his defense. We know how good he is at defending. But Hamilton's going to try and play this smart, perhaps. Or maybe he just didn't have the straight line speed to defend. But either way, Hamilton is right up behind Verstappen. Verstappen, who is 4th place, who was down in 5th place at one point in this race, is now leading. Well, he's actually in 2nd. Kimi Räikkönen is leading, but Räikkönen is going to have to pit eventually because he has not pit. And you, of course, have to pit in an F1 race unless it is wet. But here comes Lewis Hamilton. He looks one way, he looks the other way. Verstappen's going to squeeze him nearly into the wall there. They're going to go side by side down the straight. Who's going to brake later? It's going to be... It looks like Hamilton, Verstappen on the outside. Hamilton brakes very late, but Verstappen is going to try to switch back. Hamilton loses the back end there. Very uncharacteristic of Hamilton to make a mistake like that. But that Mercedes rear end is very unstable as here comes Max Verstappen again with DRS. Down the straight into this corner. Verstappen locks up. Perez is having a look. Round the outside goes both Red Bulls on Lewis Hamilton. Brilliant stuff. Max Verstappen takes the lead. Perez and Hamilton going side by side. Perez tries to round the outside. Doesn't quite work out. Hamilton's gonna barely give enough space. They nearly go into each other. Great racing from the two of them. Hamilton takes P2. Verstappen takes the lead, and he's pulled a second on Hamilton. Unbelievable move by the two Red Bulls there. They're just using each other to help each other get up and around Hamilton, as now the gap is 1.2 seconds to Verstappen. Max Verstappen is looking very likely that he's going to win this race, as Lando Norris has actually made his way back up into the points after that front wing change, but he was near Sainz before. Now he is 4 seconds off him, as Leclerc has overtaken Stroll as well, and now he's looking to take some points in this race after a horrendous start. But his teammate's up in 8th, so hopefully Leclerc can get somewhere near him, although that's very unlikely. Anyways, back on board with Hamilton. He is going to have DRS. Actually, he's, again, very quick in this final sector. The Mercedes seems to be very good in this final sector, as it's not very dependent on the back end of the car. But we saw just the way that the car loses the back end is obviously something that Lewis is struggling with throughout this race. As we saw earlier, I think we saw a glimpse of Sainz. I believe he's on the hard compound tires. Not too sure about that one though, as Gasly is all over him. Gasly could potentially take 8th place in this race. With Valtteri Bottas up in 6th place, he's hoping to potentially go after Sebastian Vettel for his top 5 position. But anyways, here comes Hamilton. He's made up a lot of time using the DRS, using that Mercedes power unit. We saw in the speed traps they were actually pretty equal between the Honda and Mercedes engines, but either way, Hamilton did have DRS and potentially was running the overtake button. As you can see, look at the back end, just very slippery on the rear of the car. Just does not want to grip, and those rule changes have really screwed over Mercedes here. The back end of the car again, he's losing the back end. I don't know if his tires are gone, but my god, he's losing the back end everywhere, and he's lost a lot of time again to Verstappen. This is another thing. The Mercedes seems to be very poor in this second sector, as he does not apex through there. He misses the apex, although that could just be the line that he's taking to potentially save the tires. Who knows? Anyways, Alonso here in that beautiful Alpine, driving brilliantly up in 7th place, doing a great job, and he's actually kind of keeping up with Bottas. He's still within DRS of him. But anyways, here comes Hamilton. He's 8 tenths, between 7 and 8 tenths now through the final corner. Look at that. He's gained more time. He's very quick through there. That Mercedes is super hooked up through those last couple corners, and it's allowing Hamilton to really gain a lot of time. He goes down this straight using the DRS to close up with 4 laps left in this race. Coming into turn 1, you really using that DRS. He's right up behind Verstappen, but a bit too far back to make any kind of overtake, especially on someone like Max Verstappen. But here comes Valtteri Bottas. He is holding off Fernando Alonso for the time being. As you can see, Sainz is on the hard tires, and I believe so is Leclerc. Yes, he is. Okay, well done, Ferrari. You have completely screwed over yourselves with a horrendous strategy. Once again, some things never change at Ferrari. And as you can see, just another horrible strategy. Giovinazzi's finally overtaking Mick Schumacher here. Around the outside comes Giovinazzi, who was down in last place at one point, back down the inside. Good move from Giovinazzi. Well done. To move itself up in 17th place, and Russell has overtaken Mazepin after Russell had his spin, or his off at the triple left-hander. He is not last anymore, which is pretty embarrassing for Mazepin, but also embarrassing for Russell. He made a stupid mistake, as you can see now through this corner. Verstappen is struggling now because Hamilton is going really hard now. He's really trying to catch Verstappen, giving it everything, using the DRS, using the slipstream. And look at that, through this final sector, he's only 4 tenths behind him, and we know how quick he is through that final corner. Can he potentially take the lead back off Verstappen. Who is going to win this race? Is it going to be Red Bull? Is it going to be Mercedes? All I know is that it's a very exciting season so far, because I have no idea who's going to win this race, or who's going to win this championship, or who even has the better car at this point. Here they go down the straight. Hamilton's only 2/10 behind. Is he going to pull out soon? Yes, he is. Verstappen's going to squeeze him. They come into turn 1. Late braking by Hamilton. He's already in front. They go side by side. He has to leave room for Verstappen on the outside. Verstappen has the inside for the next corner. Look at that. Verstappen and Hamilton nearly make contact with their front wing. They go down this next straight. It's Verstappen who has DRS. And here comes Sergio Perez. They're going to go 3 wide again. Not quite. But Perez is side by side with Hamilton. And this is once again helping out Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. And once again, can Perez make this a 1-2? Wow, the outside goes Sergio Perez. Doesn't quite work out, but he's back down the inside. Oh, just about nearly saves it without going into the back of him, as Kimi Räikkönen is overtaking Bottas, because Bottas has an engine issue as Hamilton loses the back end. Again, that Mercedes rear of the car. He's trying everything as Hamilton to try and keep that rear end under control, but it's just not working, especially with the tires as worn out as they are. But Valtteri Bottas, as we can see, is pulled over to the side. He's out of this race after an engine issue. That is heartbreaking. He's so close to the end of the race, and he's out of it. And he was up in 6th place. It's looking like the championship challenge is not going too well, as Hamilton is trying to defend against Perez. He's trying everything he can, looking like those tires are not looking too good on that Mercedes. But again, through these final couple of corners, he's 9/10 behind Verstappen. He's going to have the DRS. He's going to have that slipstream down the straight. He's going to give it absolutely everything. He's going to go proper hammer time in one final attempt at overtaking Max Verstappen. Not quite this lap, I don't think, but maybe next lap, maybe on the final lap. Here he goes down the straight now. We're going to change cameras as Alonso is up in 6th place, and Sainz has lost the place to Gasly because, of course, Gasly is on the medium tires, and Ferrari made a stupid blunder once again with that strategy. But it's okay, because Gasly moves up into 7th place as Alonso has done it brilliantly, up in 6th place with his teammate down in 11th. Great stuff from Alonso in his return to F1, just showing once again just how talented he is. Daniel Ricciardo doing a good job in 4th, with Vettel in 5th. Vettel seems to have dropped off massively in this second stint, but here comes Hamilton again using that DRS and slipstream to really close up in that first sector on Max Verstappen. Here he is now into this next corner. Nicely done by Hamilton, trying to stay with Verstappen. He's having trouble in that dirty air, but it's still 6/10, which is still pretty damn good. Has to be said now through the triple left-hander as Hamilton loses that back end there, and that's lost him quite a lot of time down the straight. But he is going to have DRS and slipstream once again. Coming into this next braking zone with a lap and a half to go. Can Hamilton win this race, or will it be Max Verstappen who has done brilliantly today? It has to be said. Verstappen who thoroughly deserves the win if he does win it. He really did not get this by luck. He got it by playing it smart, by using his teammate, by driving brilliantly. And anyways, here comes Verstappen now through the final corner. Here comes Hamilton taking again a bit more of a square line to really maximize his exit, but it does compromise him on entry. Now they go down the straight. He's only 2/10 behind Verstappen. This is it on the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix year in 2021. Verstappen, this time, gonna go very defensive, nearly puts Hamilton in the wall. Hamilton's forced to go to the outside. Verstappen's on the inside, Hamilton's on the outside. He's gonna try and switch back him. Here he comes into the next corner. Now Hamilton, this is smart from Hamilton, because now he's gonna have DRS on the next straight, so Verstappen won't have it. Again, he has to look to the inside. Verstappen defends hard. Now coming to the next corner. Braking hard comes Hamilton around the outside. Doesn't quite work out. He tries to switch back, but the Mercedes loses the back end again, as is Hamilton. Well, of course it's Hamilton. He's the one driving, but here he comes into the next corner. Verstappen closes the door. Incredible stuff by Max Verstappen as Hamilton can't make it work on the final lap of this race. He's going to try everything, but it doesn't look likely like he's going to overtake Verstappen. Verstappen is also on fresher tires as Pierre Gasly overtakes Fernando Alonso to go up into 6th place. Great stuff from Gasly as those two are battling, but it doesn't matter because the battle for the lead is here and now. It's incredible stuff from Verstappen and Hamilton. That's what we want to see here in Formula 1 between Verstappen and Hamilton. And it's just incredible to watch those two race each other hard as Verstappen just shut the door on Hamilton. Hamilton's probably not going to be too happy about that, but it's all okay, as it was great to watch. Ricciardo doing a great job in 4th place. Very, very strong drive. Norris as well, a strong drive, but unfortunately, he got screwed over at the start as Sainz hit him, and now Sainz is in a pretty poor 8th place. But anyways, here comes Verstappen through the final corner. He's done brilliantly today, and he thoroughly deserves this race win. It's Red Bull and Max Verstappen who win the first race of 2021. Great stuff from Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton comes home in 2nd place, with Sergio Perez in 3rd as he comes flying past Verstappen. Great, great, great race. Great opening race of the season. Awesome to watch.
brilliant stuff from Red Bull today. What a superb victory. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team. Let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Max Verstappen now leads the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to say Sebastian Vettel certainly caught my eye during today's race. Incredible driving.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.